I'm Dr. Vera Tarman, and I am gearing up for the I'm Sweet Enough, the September sugar-free event. We have Andrea here today. She is a gratefully recovering food addict.
Right from a very young age, when I was a small girl, food was like my biggest joy. And as I got older and started experiencing, adult emotions and thoughts and situations in my life, food was my only coping skill. That led to not just specific foods that gave me comfort. Eventually it led to binging. I do remember binging from a small age. I remember my first binge, I was about 6 years old, but the binging became much more frequent. And as the years went by, I couldn't get comfort without a binge. There was no kind of lesser degree. I was also in that diet phase and, like exercise bulimia. So I was cycling. In a year, I could fluctuate 60 pounds, 70 pounds, 80 pounds. I'd take a year to lose it. And then within a year, I would have gained it all back again. And I did that many, many, many times over and over. And then finally, I reached a place where I couldn't diet anymore. Like I couldn't, I tried Weight Watchers on all of these other programs and I would get limited success, but then I would basically break down and have to have a binge. And then I couldn't get back on. I know now that's because I was trying to use a moderation technique and thinking I could eat things like pasta and ice cream, like just a half a cup as a serving. And it reached a place. I did it for many years, but eventually at the end, before I went for treatment, I couldn't adhere to it anymore, which was always worked in food. Like food was a huge part of growing up. My parents are both excellent cooks and I was always involved in the kitchen from a little girl. And so my first job was in a deli when I was like 17. And it was like I loved going to work because I could eat at work and we had to sample food. That was part of the job. And then when I became older, I went to school to become a pastry chef. And so I've been a pastry chef for 20 years. I'm still a pastry chef, even in recovery. And I thought for sure once I was in recovery that I was going to have to say goodbye to my career. I didn't ever feel like, oh, now I have to go home. But I really thought that's impossible. I just couldn't begin to wrap my head around how that could be possible. And once I took out the triggering foods like bread, pasta, sugar, once that was gone, I honestly didn't think about it. Truthfully, I didn't think about it anymore. Within the first week, I started to see this is a program that I can live with. This is a situation that won't ruin my life. Now, of course, well, how will I date? How will I go to a party? And all of those tools, like I was helped with those tools in treatment, like when the counselor first said to me, you can bring your own food, I thought like, oh my God, there's no way I would bring my own food. But I just went to my friend's engagement party the other day. It was a huge catered party, just like a wedding. And I brought my own food and I had the catering company plate it and bring it to me. And I just blended in with it. Not a problem. So one of the big pieces of my personal recovery was, I had so much shame and anxiety and worry about anybody finding out this awful secret of mine that I was a food addict. And the best gift I gave myself was to tell the important, trusted people in my life. That was a huge help to me. So I told my boss before I went to treatment. And when I came back, I said, I can't taste things anymore, but I've been in the field long enough and I'm confident enough in my skills that I can still do product development for you, but other people have to taste it. And they said, no problem. The first 3 months going back to work, it was a little bit tricky, but I just tried in the moment. Well, one thing I used, honestly, when it would be like a smell that was enticing, I just would use gratitude for where I was at now and really think of my life today as compared to before. When this smell hit me before, what would I do and what would that lead to? And that really helped. That was a very useful tool. It's kind of like changing the channel in my brain, right? I'm gonna say another challenge in this field in general, food industry, it's very demanding. It's really long hours. It's crazy hours. It's hectic pace. So I like meal prep and committing my food to my food buddy. I still do that to this day. That's a huge tool for me. I think that if I didn't commit to this food goes to my food buddy and my sponsor, if I just was winging it and like fly by night, I don't think I would have had the same success. I think that what's so ironic about that is that my food is not on my radar. Before, my thoughts all day long were, what did I eat? I need to check myself. Did I eat too much? Was it this? Was it that? How much of that? When am I eating again? It was every waking minute. It was from the minute I opened my eyes, all I thought about was food. Whether it was I need to restrict my food, whatever the thought was, it was always food related. I don't think about food at all, other than I take a few minutes at night to plan my meals. I send it to my food buddy, and it's actually comical because people will ask me, "Oh, what'd you have for dinner last night?" And I have to think, like, I don't remember. I have to think about it. Mm-hmm. Well, I really believe that if somebody wants recovery, it's possible. And the very first thing is you need to get the substance out of your body. That's the first thing. It can't be just like a little bit. Once you take that step, and you just have to get over the first hump. Once you're over the first hump, it's maintaining it with your tools. And I think for me, the biggest tools that were helpful were setting boundaries. And I don't just mean with food. In my life, I found that by setting boundaries, a lot of the triggers in my life basically went away, which really helped my recovery. People try to do it alone. And I tried all those years to keep it a secret and not ever tell anyone I'm doing this diet. And looking back, geez, that was really a disservice to myself. The support is huge. I think that there's a really big need in the food addiction world for people that don't know how to navigate the kitchen, for people that don't know. It's overwhelming, I think, to a lot of people to imagine, how can I live a normal life and have food that I enjoy and blend into the rest of my family?
Yeah.
Like meal development, meal planning, prepping. Maybe it's never easy. I'm not going to say for me it's easy, but I think it comes easier to me because I've had years and years of being in kitchen. Maybe in my retirement, I might like to have a restaurant or a cafe that is like, it's only abstinent food. There's nothing else available but abstinent food.
I think that would be amazing. Just amazing.
My life was reduced to nothing but work and food. And I was at a place where I had even told my parents, don't ask to see me. Don't invite me for Christmas. Don't ask to see me on my birthday. And I had completely shut everything out of my life. And I have never had this type of mental peace in my life. Never. My whole life since I was a little girl, 6 years old. I've never had a clear head. I've never felt comfortable in myself. And I have a really full life now. It's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for sharing your experience, strength, and hope for us all.
Thank you.
Thank you.